My name is Khairi Zamanti, a lecturer in Faculty of Creative Multimedia, FCM, here in Multimedia University, MMU, and I'm the moderator for today's webinar entitled Preserving Cultural Heritage Through Creative Technologies. Okay. On behalf of the organizer, Industrial Collaboration and Engagement Center, ICTC, co-organized by Center for Innovative Systemic Design, Interpretation and Content, CIS-DAC, CISDAC, and Faculty of Creative Multimedia, FCM, would like to welcome all of you to our Humanizing Innovation at MMU webinar series. Thank you for sparing time with us. Okay. Before we start, I would like to request from the audience to post in the chat box if should you have any inquiries regarding the topic that you want to highlight throughout this whole session. And now, let us begin. Okay. The rapid development of creative technology as an interdisciplinary science discipline in the Industrial Revolution 4.0 has incorporated the field of computing, art, design, and humanity. Malaysia have a diverse cultural heritage. However, most of the preservation efforts reported have mostly centered around tangible cultural assets. Since creative technology has so much to offer, there are endless possibilities for cultural preservation, highlights effort digitally both in tangible and intangible cultural heritage preservation. This webinar highlights major issues of challenge in the tangible and intangible cultural heritage preservation through creative technology. Sorry. With regards to the content and the purpose associated with it, using this as a platform, we are going to discuss regarding how the technology can help in preserving our cultural heritage so that it wouldn't be lost for future generations. Okay, let me introduce the speakers for this session. Our first external speaker for today is Professor Dr. Soleha Yaakob, who is a consultant for TV Hijrah and AQY Sdn Bhd. Our second external, okay. So can I have the slides, please? Okay, thank you. Okay, Professor Dr. Soleha Yaakob, she had received all her degrees, which is Bachelor Honours, Master MALL, and MAAL, and PhD from International Islamic University Malaysia, IIUM. Have 21 years of working experience, specialized in philosophy of Arabic grammar, expert in traditional Arabic grammar, morphology, semantic, ancient Arabic thoughts. Her research interest varies between philosophy of Arabic grammar, phonology, lexicon, semantic, orientalist, views on Arabic grammar, ancient history, and so forth. Okay, now we shall proceed to her achievement. Next. She actually wrote articles published in Majma. Forgive me for my pronunciation, okay? Majma Lugawi Jordan, Tajdid IIUM, Kuliah Darul Ulum, Egypt, Majalah Al-Mahkamah, Al-Ma'arif Al-Jamiah, Anbar, Iraq, Majalah Sino-English Teaching, New York, USA, Journal of Asia, IIUM, Arab Journal of Humanities, Kuwait, the annual Philosophical Journal, Poland, International Journal of Social Science, Singapore, Journal Linguistic Al-Adad, Malaya University, Journal of Literature and Language, Algeria, Islamic Quarterly, London, Open Journal for Linguistics, USA, Journal of Journal Al-Bayan in Quran and Hadith, from Bristol, Netherlands, Shajarah, Journal of IIUM, Journal Ramadan UM, and etc. Okay. Next, she is also the author of the books Dirasat Naqdiyah, Tafsir An-Najwi Al-Arabi, The Intricacy and Delicacy in the Historical Development of Arabic Language, published by Dewan Bahasa and Pustaka in 2016. She also authoring IIUM textbook for Arabic grammar in 2016, book editor for Paragraph Shift of Thoughts Muslim Women, Perspective and Heritage, Study Linguistic Critical Thinking, that were published by IIUM in 2011. In 2020, her books on Revolusi Bahasa and Asas Tamadun received a high demand order from the public. The book was published by Dewan Bahasa dan Pustaka in 2021. Her paper to be published in Journal University Taibah, Madinah, Saudi Arabia, for literature and humanities on the topic historical linguistic outlook, Barnabas Bible from Arabic version. Okay. In order to present her mind ability, she presented her papers in the field of various countries such as Istanbul, Turkey, Tehran, Iran, Cairo, Egypt, New York, USA, Erbil, Jordan, sorry for that pronunciation, Dubai, Brunei, Medina, and etc. In Istanbul, her paper obtained the highest score with 95% of percentage, which evaluated in 2009 by Common Ground, Melbourne, Australia, and in Tehran, being awarded as the Best Paper Award in Iran 2008 and Best Article Award for the article published in London by IIUM 2015. And she also awarded the Best Research Peace Award 2019 for the article on the contradictory views on ancient literacy, works as foundation of world historical development by Rula and Ijurullah Awards. Okay. In 2018, she was awarded as Distinguished Woman in Humanities and Social Science in Arabic Literature by Venus International Foundation India. In 2020 and also 2021, she had received a Gold Product Innovation and Commercialization Award continuously from Takrim Al Akademiyin event and tech event of 30th years KIRKHS, IIUM. Okay, she is a scriptwriter of the 52 series of the documentary project on lingual revolution of human civilization from Adam until Muhammad for the TV broadcast. As a result, the project was channeled to TV Al Hijrah collaboration with Dewan Bahasa and Pustaka and IIUM as a content provider. She also researched of Adam genealogy poster of 8 feet to 4 feet, which has already in the market level. This project also stationed in TV Al Hijrah soon. She believed in the wow factor of the project and its marvelous project of the its marvelous, which emphasized on the ancient Muslim Ummah language revolution. Beside the above, she had been invited as a research fellow by Middle East Research Center Mediterranean at the INALCO, National Institute of Oriental Language and Civilization, Paris, Middle East Monitor, Memo, London. Okay. University of Jordan, University of Al Isra, Jordan, on November and December of 2017. In hosting in the interview session while conducting her research project on ancient civilization from Muslim perspective. That's Prof. Dr. Soleha Yaqub achievement. Okay, thank you. Next will be our second speaker, which is Associate Prof. Dr. Muhammad Zafrullah. He was born from Kuala Lumpur on January 9, 1969. He received his early education at primary school in Flint, Kepong Secondary School at St. John, Kuala Lumpur, and Tunku Jaafar Technical School in Seremban. Dr. Muhammad Zafrullah received the diploma in interior design and the Dean's Award from the Institute of Creative Multimedia, Institute of Technology Mara, which is ITM, in 1991, and in 1992 to 1994 was accepted to the degree of Master in Interior Design at the Montfort University, Manchester, United Kingdom. He was awarded the Doctor of Philosophy Architecture from University Technology Malaysia in 2010. He is currently the Deputy Director of Creative Media and Technology, CMT, Hub, UITM, and teaches as Senior Lecturer at the Faculty of Architecture, Planning and Survey in University Technology Mara, UITM, Malaysia. Okay, next. On his achievement side, he's done consulting on interior design of government and private projects, including corporate design, hospitality, um, museum and commercials such as Istana Budaya and Bank Islam, Agrobank, Public Bank, Royal Stream Nanti Museum, Negeri Sembilan State Museum, Nation Nuclear Center, KPT Special Lobby, SIRIM, and others. He's also been awarded UITM Young Researcher at 2008 and National Intellectual Award in 2008. He has been numerous innovation at IID, UITM, Penshipte 2008, ITEX 2007, MTE 2008, and Future Furniture Design Patent. Received UITM Excellence Service Award in 2008 and 2014. He's written a series of international journals and papers in the field of sustainable design, Islamic architecture, museum design, hospitality, and design. Formerly a senior designer, the senior manager, chairman, and interior design textbook at the Ministry of Education Malaysia. Book writer for Dewan Bahasa as external examiner at several universities. Invitation speaker for several groups such as Pusat Khidmat Kontraktor (PKK) throughout Malaysia, Furniture Mara, PTAC, schools, university expert panel of a TV Al-Hijrah program. Okay. Panel and jury for design competition, reviewer journals, postgraduate examiner, and supervisor for master and PhD program. This is in UiTM. Panel members of the Malaysia Board of Architecture, MAPSM, and Malaysia Quality Assurance, MQA Committee. Panel of Hotel Star Standard for Ministry of Tourism, and also he was registered as a registered membership of Lembaga Architect Malaysia, IDM 58, and Malaysia Institute of Interior Designing. Okay. Next would be, this is our second speaker, which is Associate Prof. Dr. Muhammad Zafrullah. Next would be our very own Dr. Fauzan Mustafa in MMU. Okay, he was born in Muar, Johor on May 31st, 1969. He obtained his first degree in graphic design from University of Technology Mara. So there are two members of UiTM here. Okay. Shah Alam in 1991. Before again, his postgrad diploma in 1994 and MFA in communication design from Central St. Martin's College of Art and Design, London, 1995. Sorry. He worked as the art director in advertising agency before pursuing his career as an academician. He was awarded the Doctor of Philosophy in Creative Multimedia from Multimedia University in 2019. Since 1998, Dr. Fauzan works as academician, researcher, and practicing designer mainly in the area of communication design at the Faculty of Creative Multimedia at Multimedia University, MMU. His active research works are mostly in the area of cultural heritage studies. His works also involve creation and new form of cultural reproduction in giving ways to exploration of cultural imagery, cultural interface, and experience. He's also passionate in working on creative interpretation of historical building reconstruction, especially in context of Malacca Sultanate. Okay. So that is the biography for all our three speakers for today. Okay, let's move on. Okay, now I would like to welcome our first speaker, Professor Dr. Soleha Yaakob, to share her thoughts on the topic preserving cultural heritage through creative technology. Okay, Prof. Dr. Soleha, the floor is yours. You can start.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Liza, as the chairman of our webinar today. Thank you to MMU for inviting me to this program, and I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. To the speakers, Prof. Madya, Dr. Zafrullah, Dr. Fauzan bin Mustafa, as my colleague in discussion today, Most welcome too. Thank you so much. My topic, my project topic is Lingua Revolution and Human Civilization. Just a brief project that I have to inform, to announce today. It is a flagship 1.0 of IIUM. So from this project, it contains several products. The project produced several products such as books and so on. And these products has an engagement with the industrials uh, uh, and already started already. So let me elaborate the uh, the meaning of revolution, meaning of lingua revolution before I proceed. Before I proceed uh, the discussion. So I think the meaning of lingua revolution is quite tangible to me because it gives me several impact in my projects. Lingua revolution, it is refers to a phenomenon of change within the worldwide of a community precedents by absorption of new ideas, concepts, or beliefs into the linguistic repertoire of a community. This change may occur through an enculturation process as a result of a community encountering a foreign language deemed to be from a superior civilization of a process of indoctrination by divine agency. It has been observed that this change happened throughout human history and continually happening all over the world. The product from this research can be is already in the market. Book Revolusi Bahasa dan Asas Tamadun, published by DBP. Second, a poster 824 Adam's Genealogy, published by SH Lingua Edu. Third, a handbook, Adam's Genealogy by SH Lingua Edu. And fourth, book, Lingua Revolution and Human Civilization, to be published by DBP. Project engagement with industries. Number one, TV Al Hijrah as TV station collaborate with DBP and IIUM as content provider on Lingua Revolution and Human Civilization, a documentary, which is based on book Revolusi Bahasa dan Asas Tamadun. Second, TV Al Hijrah as a TV station collaborate with IIUM as content provider on Adam's Genealogy, a documentary based on Adam's Genealogy, a poster 8/5 to 4/5. Third, Neo Sahara Production collaborate with IIUM as content provider on the commentary Kamus based on conceptual of linguistic history. Fourth, Digital Lala and Pintu Pictures Productions will, with IIUM as content provider on documentary After Adam based on Adam's Genealogy, a handbook. Fifth, Acquise Sendirian Berhad with IIUM as content provider on apps Multimedia Digital based on book Lingua Revolution and Human Civilization. Sixth, Acquise Sendirian Berhad with IIUM as content provider on Pinta Hub Tamadun Teaching Online, the discussion teaching and learning on book Revolution and Human Civilization. I think based on this project, actually is a starting point of my of this project is my research. After I got the research 16 years after my PhD degree until now, in 2015, the CEO of TV Al Hijrah, Datuk Wan Elias, came to my university and asked me to produce 52 series of the script from Adam alayhi salam until Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They call ancient Islamic perspective, and I did all and give to them, and then they agree to publish. But it takes a long time because we have obstacles such as time management, such as budget, and we have a certain level to approve the project. I think that's all from me. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Prof. Dr. Soneha, on that great insightful, fruitful sharing. It's interesting to hear about how the worldview of community changes by solving these new ideas, concept, and belief into the collection of linguistic and communities. Indeed, it's all about lingual revolution and also human civilization. Thank you for that. Yeah. Okay, our next speaker, which is Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Zafrullah from UiTM. Okay. Let us hear Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Zafrullah opinion on how creative technologies could help in preserving cultural heritage. Again, if you have any question that you would like to ask Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Zafrullah from UiTM or any other speaker, you may post it in the chat box. Okay, let's welcome Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Zafrullah. Over to you, sir.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you. Thank you, Prof. Soneha. Give a ball rolling and enlighten us with intangible things that we discussed. Okay, Alhamdulillah. Today, I just want to share you with my slides. Okay. It's actually fundamental to us actually to discuss about cultural heritage. Okay, but my focus today is on only tangible objects. Okay, next. Okay, the worldview of culture of heritage. Next, please. Okay, it's actually when you talk about cultural heritage, it's actually it's all around us. Okay, you talk about culture, you talk about temple, you talk about architecture, you talk about religion, you talk about language, you talk about even forests, you talk about anything, arts. Okay, next, please. Next, please. Okay, when you talk about cultural heritage, you cannot miss the legacy of physical artifact and intangible attributes towards group society from the past generation. Okay, if you see at the slide, you can see antiques, you can see sculpture, you can see books, writings, monuments, even the place for tourism, okay, that create an identity of that space. Okay, next, please. Next slide, please. Okay. Why is the cultural heritage so important? Okay, there are two main groups. One is tangible cultural, and the second one is intangible culture. Okay, intangible culture is such as buildings, monuments, landscape, books, works of art, and artifacts that you can touch, really can touch, you can feel, and you can look at it. Okay, you can touch. Intangible cultural is like tradition. You can feel, you can see, okay? Language, you can see, you can feel, but you cannot feel with the physical hands, okay? Like knowledge, okay? It's all inside here, okay? Then you only you interpret it, go outside, okay? Natural heritage is include landscape, biodiversity, and so on. Okay, thank you. Next. Okay, it shows our history, it's our identity, our society, our civilization. That is our uniqueness in the cultural heritage. Okay, next. The uniqueness that we must present, not only for us, but for the future generation, like buildings. Okay, next, please. The task has been taken by UNESCO as sustainable development goals. Okay, if you can see the World Heritage Conservation that conserve all the buildings, all the arts, and all the place that we should preserve. Next, please. How we want to honor our past with the era IR 4.0, 5.0, education 5.0, and technology of revolution. Okay, next, please. Okay, part 2, I'm more focusing on the historical building, the physical, tangible object. Okay, next, please. The architecture is an expression of values. This is from the famous Norman Foster. Okay, the architect, Norman Foster. Next, please. And the second famous architect says that architecture speaks on its time, place, and earn for timelessness, from Frank Gehry. Next, please. And the mother of the architects. The mother of art in architecture. Without an architecture of our own, we have no soul of our civilization. Okay, next, please. On preserve the cultural heritage on tangible things, the important thing is about documentation. One of the principal way is available to give a meaning of the building, understanding, definition of the values of the cultural heritage of the community. Okay, next, please. This is the traditional way of documentation. We use a manual hand measurement and draw. Photographic contain the information of surface detail and so on, and it takes time to do it. Okay, next, please. This is the process of documentation with creative technology of cultural heritage. We have the tangible object there, and then we're using a technology like LiDAR scanning. LiDAR means that lighting, detection, and ranging. Okay. We use drone. Okay, to see from the upper sky, to scan mapping from the land. Okay, 3D scanner, photograph battery. This is all the input that we can use the tangible things, use for the tangible things, the physical things, that we integrate the technology to record and to interpret all the data inside the integrated technology, like record data, point clouds, 3D mapping, the real-time data, allow information, improve data, visual representation, scan to beam, and so on. Okay, and then the output to be, this is the amazing one in creative technology, because in the manual, traditional way, you only have documentation. Okay, in creative technology, the output is so amazing. We have integrated data, we can really print it to be a model. We use AR, augmented reality, we use VR, mixed reality. In fact, we can do hologram of that particular architecture of that building. Even from the data, we can actually print out in design of manufacturer assembly. That means we can produce multiple of amazing building or products or objects and so on. Okay, next please. This is the example of means and values of digital preservation of architecture. We use a laser scanning system, XR, and recording all the method with drones, with scanning, okay, information. Okay, next please. Okay, this is a sample of how we can do it. Okay, from above, from the sky, we can actually scan the land, and then we use area drone, and then we zoom out, zoom in. You can see the neighborhood area, and then later on we zoom it to be a building, and later we can zoom it into architectural elements. This is all the sample, how we should use the sensor and the products itself. Okay, next please. This is the output that we can use and segmentation or clarify to be a structure, element of the building, and so on. Hello. Okay. Next, please. This is actually the sample of the space that we scan in BIM. That means we scan all the surface in
Sorry, Professor Madya, Dr. Muhammad, because currently you're froze. Okay, let's give some time for Professor Madya, Dr. Muhammad Zafrullah to come back to us, okay? Okay. It's okay. Okay. We shall wait for Associate Muhammad, Dr. Muhammad Fazlullah after this. Okay. Thank you so much for his great insight on tangible, sustainable heritage and how we could improve it, and also agree on the importance of documentation and in awe from all the tedious work behind them. Okay. So we move on to our next speaker, which is our own internal speaker from Multimedia Industry, MMU, Dr. Fauzan Mustafa, a lecturer in Faculty of Creative Multimedia, FCM. And I want to know, what is your take on the topic, preserving cultural heritage through creative technology? The floor is yours, Dr. Fauzan.
Thank you very much, Moderator Ms. Niza, respective panels, Prof. Dr. Saleha, and Chair Professor Dr. Zafullah, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh, and very good day. I'd like to take a different angle on the topic that we are discussing today and dive into historical reconstruction studies on Malacca Sultanate construct. Next, please. By nature, I am a designer, and I'm not trying to replace the role of a historian. Historian is definitely the authority in enlightened us on subject of history. A historical artist, on the other hand, can play his role in enlightened society on visual aspects of historical history by the creations of artist impressions of a particular historical object. The thing is that historical interpretation has conceptual and design problems to be solved, and it's not fair to burden historians to solve design problems. Historical artists can choose to take the position of a thinker who can do or doer who can think, but never just a doer, right? The unique knowledge and thinking of historical artists within the design faculty of thought can take a bigger challenge to venture into strategic overlapping area of historical interpretation. Taking the historical artist as a concept role in the society and a collaborative knowledge and methodology where historian and historical artists can stand the same height, the empowerment to the design faculty of thought can fill the knowledge gap for more fruitful historical understanding. Next, please. Next, please. Okay, this is as far as we can get to Malacca Municipal Plan, comparable to modern days accuracy, superimposed with satellite image of Mandahili Malacca, also used to be the central city of Malacca Sultanate. The darker part of the visual is a municipal plan drawn by P. Elias from the information supplied by C.F. Ramier, 1791. If we take 1262 as the founding year of Sultanate Malacca and ended in 1511, it makes a total of 249 years, the longest of all periods. This fact should not be taken for granted. There are two types of historical building reconstruction studies. One is dealing with data acquisition on historical construct that still exists. Another one is historical construct that no longer physically exists. And the studies about, the construction studies about Malacca Sultanate belongs to the second one, no longer physically exists. Malacca Sultanate is perfect fundamentals of Malaysia identity in the context of cosmopolitan, multiracial, sharing of cultures, at the same time being the top of the world during its time. The fact that no legitimate visual records on almost all construct of Malacca Sultanate has implications on national identity. No remnant location, no artifact belong to the Malacca Sultanate listed in Malaysia National Heritage Department. The problem is a generation without historical memory will literally lose their identity. Sultanate Malacca City is one of the world's most significant 15th century maritime civilization. The same lake with Venice, Cairo, and Canton hosted 2,000 ships a day, comparable to the modern day Singapore. And yet too many anomalies and discrepancies in view of text and visual relationship in regards of Sultanate Malacca City. This research is embarked based on the idea that Sultan Malacca Sultanate was a continuous civilization for about 250 years. It also inherit historical and technological narrative from Srivijaya from many centuries. Apparently can impact the kind of building they built. It is too simplistic to perceive that the entire civilization completely vanished, especially in the early period of colonial period. Based on this perspective, the trace of construct in the traditions of Malacca Sultanate is not something impossible in the light of historical text and visual. And of course, among challenges are no artifact allocation to begin with, no legitimate visual record. Data collection is at the mercy of historical narrative, which is not obligated to describe, construct in the first place, discrepancies between account, interpretations, and to win respects on historical sources. Next, please. This is the opportunity that we when we embark, this kind of research through creative faculty and communication design faculty. Designers is supposed to be visually trained in seeing visual, even though in textual journey, lead by different sets of motivation, objective, and way of thinking. Communication design have different sets of methodology in handling historical text and visual. And the set that has been used for this study is narrative analysis in handling text, visual anthropology in handling visual, design process and creative process, and also a bit of influence from the grand narrative to see the big pictures. And hopefully this methodology brings new results. And of course, the advantage that comes to the creative technology from the creative support from the creative technology provide very wide advantage and opportunity. Next, please. Next is a case study. Next is case study 1. It's about reconstruction study and creative interpretation of the breach of Malacca Sultanate. This is, next please. Okay, this is my creative interpretation of the breach of Malacca Sultanate based on the analysis of 13 criteria led by reconstruction studies, mainly based on careful analysis via socio-cultural economic factors. And as you can see in the diagram, there's numbers. The criteria 1 is as described by Mahwan in 1433. The breach should be able to accommodate. This is a criteria for design. Should be able to accommodate 20 pavilions selling all sorts of commodities. Criteria 2 must be able to accommodate the height of lanchara, a small size ships to pass through underneath the Sultanate Bridge. Criteria 3, able to handle intense water traffic at the Malacca River, impacting simple arrangement of large pillars with wide gaps between them. Criteria 4 must be able to accommodate intense pedestrian traffic on the bridge, and reflections of interactions between densely populated areas, and 6 types of identified market, and also mosque at the site of the royal compound, and intense populated population in the town of Upe. Criteria 5 must be able to accommodate 100 artilleries, as mentioned by Albuquerque, which indirectly suggests the existence of the upper deck. Criteria 6, Jong height, based on the measures of Jong where Portuguese used to elevate their troops against Sultanate archers in 1511 war narrative, which seems higher than the lower deck and enhance the existence of the upper deck. Criteria 7, 8, and 9 involve 30-wheeler ceremonial vehicle that has been detected through passing through the bridge, and the bridge should pass the transition point between the diagonal and horizontal deck of the bridge, with practical angle suggested in the study of the diagonal deck 15-degree max, or otherwise the ceremonial vehicle cannot escalate. And the ceiling of the lower deck, because we have the case of the upper deck, the ceiling of the lower deck must be able to accommodate the height of this vehicle, which is quite tall. And it's also been given attention on measures. Criteria 10, the structural design of Sultanate Bridge must be able to hold 2 to 2.5 tons of weight in regards of customary laws of Malacca Sultanate, that Sultan mounted on an elephant, especially in royal parade. Criteria 11, the flagpole, as mentioned by Al-Buka in his 1511 war narrative. Criteria 12, roofing, because of the blazing sun of Malacca tropical climates, almost impossible for human to be stationed on the bridge without shelters, especially with the existence of the 20 pavilions with all sorts of activities. And last but not least, the third criteria is richly decorated as described by Paris in 1512. Next, please. And this is the angle of the bridge if you stand from both sides of the land, giving quite an ample space for the pedestrian traffic, which is at that point we're talking about 200,000 population at the central city of Sultanate Malacca. Next, please. And this is the side and low angle of the bridge. Next. Okay, so I received comments, in regard of the bridge being, three-level story high, right? So this is a sketch, or this is a historical sketch of Malay-Portuguese fight in 1510, when the Sultan is still in power. It's by Peter van der Aar, in 11. So it's an interpretation. It says 1707. The red arrow shows a construct exactly in the position of Sultanate Bridge in 1510. What do you think? I think it's clearly another interpretation of three-story building interpretation of the Sultanate Malacca. Next, please. Next is a study of position and orientations of the bridge of Malacca Sultanate. Next. Okay, this is a proposed position and orientation of the bridge, of the said bridge that we have seen just now in the, of the Sultanate Bridge. The red dots, the red dotted lines demonstrate the proposition of position and orientation in the alignment of the primary streets which cut across Kampung Bendahara, Sultanate Bridge, and Sultanate Gate, which consistently which is consistent with the comparative account of China, Malacca, and Portuguese, had it exist in 1744, 1791, and the current geolocation. Portuguese did not mention Sultanate Gate, but Al-Buka's statements repeatedly suggest the alignment between the primary street and the Sultanate Bridge in 1511 war narrative. It is China and Malacca account that clearly mentioned the existence of Sultanate Gate. Malay Annal mentioned 7 gates from main entrance in reaching before reaching Sultanate Palace. Next, please. this is the strange anomaly. This is a strange anomaly occurred when the proposed alignment between the primary street, Sultanate Bridge and Sultanate Gate, yeah, which is accurately reaching the main gate of A Famosa, yeah, right? When Portuguese and Dutch Malacca Bridge turn away from the gate of A Famosa. This is a very, very strange anomaly. Next, please. Okay, I think this. Okay, slide before, please. Okay, sorry. Okay, next. Sorry, previously. It appears that the gate was not in. Okay. This is a typical relationship between primary street, bridge, and main gate during the Portuguese and Dutch Malacca municipal plans across centuries. It appears that the main gate was not put to use. The main gate appears to be in a large boxy construct with the outdoor leaves. The main gate appears sealed. The main gate, I mean, there's a building behind the main gate. None of the streets inside the fortress city leading to the main gate. During the Dutch Malacca, the primary streets of Upe twisted before reaching the Malacca River. Yeah, as a result, the Malacca Bridge during Dutch time, in fact, in the entire colonial time, divert and turn away from the gate. So if this gate was not designed in the preference of Portuguese, and it's not designed in the preference of Dutch, for who does this gate designed for? Next, please. Okay, this is just to give a glimpse the relationship between European castle, moat, and bridge. None of the bridge or the streets is actually divert, from the main gate. And you have invested a large construct, right? It's a monumental construct, but certainly not been put to use. Next, please. Okay, but the sample shown just now clearly shown a typical relationship. Moat is actually quite common for castle around the world. Okay, next is a case study 3 that is about geo mapping of the Grand Mosque of Sultan Malacca. Okay. Okay, this is one very important factors that make the traceable, the trace of Mosque of Sultan Malacca possible, because of the laterite stones. Yeah, that was a popular construction during the Malacca Sultanate. Yeah, and several Portuguese accounts clearly mention that the mosque was stone built. Yeah, next please. This study took an optimistic stance to take up the investigations based on an idea that massive stone-built mosque very likely will have massive stone-built foundation. Because the foundation would be very hard to be removed completely. Even taken into consideration demolition activities on the site in 1806. Yeah, next please. Okay, this is it. This is the diagram in direct translation of eyewitness account which describe the demolition methods. Or next please. Next. Okay. This is a diagram in direct relations of eyewitness account which describe the demolition method on the site in 1806. A tower perceived as a subset to the Malacca fortress was mentioned in the historical text, having the height of 60 feet, and this is the only construct with that height, based on the municipal plan of Dutch and Portuguese. The foundation of the tower was estimated the same in depth, which is 60 feet. At the same time, when they were preparing to put them down, yeah, they dug some 45 feet and still not reaching the bottom of the foundation. Yeah. The previous slide, please. Okay, this is the analysis. This is a text, a specific text that actually give the opportunity for us to have a indirect clues. Yeah. So and the position is on the left, on the right side. I don't think I have that much time to actually discuss. I may just have to pass. Okay, next, please. Next. Okay, this is a rare Dutch municipal plan from Dutch National Archive. The site K indicate a contrasting pattern. The site plan seems this site seems disoriented from the main grid of Dutch municipality, and further investigation was carried out. Out of 50 colonial municipal plan, this rare Dutch municipal plan is the one and only site that shows a marker of a construct that complying with Qiblat test, with stunning accuracy. Next. Next, please. Okay. This slide shows the okay. Right. So if you look at the line, okay, this is actually a superimpose of the Qibla apps, the rare municipal plan of Dutch, and the satellite image. The line at the site shows a stunning accuracy to Qibla. Next. And therefore, okay, and this slide shows the proposed site of the Sultanate Melaka Mosque that is at the car park area of History Ethnography Museum of Melaka. Next, please. Okay. The finding in this particular research, the mosque, with the mosque, the haram, and the minaret, the tower, has put fundamental question to the construct of Portuguese and Dutch municipal plan. The iconic building that is so-called Kaip or Keep by the Portuguese. What was it actually? Right? Was it this site? Yeah. Next, please. Was this site and building used to be the mosque of Melaka Sultanate, the Kaip or the Keep, during up until before its demolition in 1806. The site that is surfaced in 1656, that municipal plan and the current environment of the sites of the site of Kapak area of History and Ethnographic Museum, and the minaret that looks like a traditional minaret of Melaka Mosque. What do you think? Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Fauzan, Mustafa. Yeah, talking from the perspective of historian and historical archives focusing on Melaka Sultanate gives us a total new perception on the effort of preserving these national monuments. So sad to hear about the heritage monuments that are no longer physically exist. Hence comes the importance in preserving them. Look forward to the new methodology results from Dr. Fauzan later on. Okay, anonymity in the design of the Melaka Sultanate gates, bridge, and also mosque are very mind-boggling. Thank you for that. Okay, and now we shall continue with Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Zafrullah on the technology and media used for the tangible heritage preservation process, the way that we left off before. Okay, thank you so much for that. Okay, the floor is yours, Professor Dr. Muhammad.
Okay, thank you so much. Sorry for the lagging. Just another 2 slides. Okay. Part 3 is actually, I want to show you a video. Part 3, please. Next. Next. Okay. A future trend of construction digital technology. Okay. Can you please open the video, please? The future trend.
Our cultural heritage as individuals, communities, and countries provides a link to where we came from and informs us about where we want to go.
It's embodied in the people we know, the languages we speak, the places we visit, and the historical artifacts that we hold dear.
But as new technology propels us into the future, how do we honor our past? How can we use today's digital tools to preserve and celebrate what makes us who we are and helps us understand our place in the world?
Longshuan Monastery is the steward of a massive collection of ancient Buddhist literature.
The monastery's tech-savvy monks and volunteers are what make this temple so unique. Many have computer science degrees and backgrounds in the IT industry. They're bridging past and present while embracing new technology.
前2前进，人要向前看，生活才会充满希望。向前进。
For centuries, scholars have pored over these texts and built upon one another's work, seeking new understandings and insights. But editing and translating millions of characters and ensuring that that data lives on is a perennial challenge.
但是有了人工智能技术之后呢，我们就可以这样的话，这些东西都电子化之后，我们就可以利用这种自动的技术去进行的文本的比对。是的，这个工作是有它的这个紧迫性，因为首先这些古代的文献，如果现在没有及时的去收集寻找的话，它可能慢慢的它就会失散，就会遗失。那么我们在今天也是感觉到有责任，能够把这些传统文化里边精华的东西重新挖掘出来，能够让现代的人能够受益，也能够帮助我们能够更好的去面对未来。
One place where culture is on grand display is in Normandy, France, where Mont Saint-Michel soars above the coastline.
Designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, Mont Saint-Michel has withstood centuries of change and conflict.
A detailed relief map of this architectural marvel was painstakingly built by hand in the 17th century as a military tool for King Louis XIV.
Oh my goodness, the
Look
cathedral.
At that. Look inside.
C'est un lieu magique pour la France et pour le monde entier aussi.
In 2018, Microsoft set out with partners across France to help bring this treasure to life by creating an immersive experience exploring this centuries-old landmark.
Using Azure, French startup Econem captured and analyzed tens of thousands of photos of the 17th century model to build a digital replica. What will your model enable people to do?
Parce qu'ils pourront effectivement traverser des environnements qui aujourd'hui n'existent plus. Notre objectif, c'est de sauver la mémoire des sites et des architectures qui sont menacées un petit peu partout dans le monde.
Et pour nous, l'enjeu, grâce au numérique et grâce à HoloLens, c'est de raconter la maquette, mais aussi l'histoire du site représenté.
Donc pendant les visites, il y a un moment magique quand on observe les visiteurs. Ils changent de perspective et qu'à un moment, on les voit faire waouh.
Alors, on parle souvent d'expérience vécue. Je viens d'en vivre une réelle, à la fois virtuelle, numérique, mais également, je dirais, esthétique et historique. Parce qu'il y a un dialogue qui s'établit quasi immédiatement entre la maquette telle qu'on la voit aujourd'hui dans ce musée des plans en relief, mais également l'univers auquel elle se rattache, c'est-à-dire le Mont Saint-Michel.
Thank you, Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Safullah. I think I got it cool. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, and also it's a great video that gives us encouragement and hopes for the future for the heritage and cultural preservation efforts. Okay, now we are moving on to we are continuing on Professor Dr. Soleha with her videos. Okay, can we do that?
Okay. Okay, could you play the video of the human lingua revolutions? I think is the best thing to know. Because before that, I have mentioned all those projects and the products. And another thing is the video itself. It should be launched to this in this webinar too. I think it's from the organizer. It's supposed from the organizer, right? Yeah.
Our cultural heritage as individuals, communities, and countries provides a link to where we came from and informs us about where we want to go.
It's embodied in the people we know, the languages we speak, the places we visit, and the historical artifacts that we hold dear.
But as new technology propels us into the future, how do we honor our past? How can we use today's digital tools to preserve and celebrate what makes us who we are and helps us understand our place in the world?
Longshuan Monastery is the steward of a massive collection of ancient Buddhist literature.
The monastery's tech-savvy monks and volunteers are what make this temple so unique. Many have computer science degrees and backgrounds in the IT industry. They're bridging past and present while embracing new technology.
减2前进，人要向前看，生活才会充满希望。向前进。
For centuries, scholars have pored over these texts and built upon one another's work, seeking new understandings and insights. But editing and translating millions of characters and ensuring that data lives on is a perennial challenge.
但是有了人工智能技术之后呢，我们就可以这样的话，这些东西都电子化之后，我们就可以利用这种自动的技术去进行的文本的比对。是的，这个工作是有它的这个紧迫性，因为首先这些古代的文献，如果现在没有及时的去收集寻找的话，它可能慢慢的它就会失散，就会遗失。那么我们在今天也是感觉到有责任，能够把这些传统文化里边精华的东西重新挖掘出来，能够让现代的人能够受益，也能够帮助我们能够更好的去面对未来。
One place where culture is on grand display is in Normandy, France, where Mont Saint-Michel soars above the coastline.
Designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, Mont Saint-Michel has withstood centuries of change and conflict.
A detailed relief map of this architectural marvel was painstakingly built by hand in the 17th century as a military tool for King Louis XIV.
Oh my goodness, the
Look
cathedral.
At that. Look inside.
C'est un lieu magique pour la France et pour le monde entier aussi.
In 2018, Microsoft set out with partners across France to help bring this treasure to life by creating an immersive experience exploring this centuries-old landmark.
Using Azure, French startup Econem captured and analyzed tens of thousands of photos of the 17th century model to build a digital replica. What will your model enable people to do?
Parce qu'ils pourront effectivement traverser des environnements qui aujourd'hui n'existent plus. Notre objectif, c'est de sauver la mémoire des sites et des architectures qui sont menacées un petit peu partout dans le monde.
Et pour nous, l'enjeu, grâce au numérique et grâce à HoloLens, c'est de raconter la maquette, mais aussi l'histoire du site représenté.
Donc pendant les visites, il y a un moment magique quand on observe les visiteurs. Ils changent de perspective et qu'à un moment, on les voit faire waouh.
Alors, on parle souvent d'expérience vécue. Je viens d'en vivre une réelle, à la fois virtuelle, numérique, mais également, je dirais, esthétique et historique. Parce qu'il y a un dialogue qui s'établit quasi immédiatement entre la maquette telle qu'on la voit aujourd'hui dans ce musée des plans en relief, mais également l'univers auquel elle se rattache, c'est-à-dire le Mont Saint-Michel.
We continue. I would like to remind you guys so that you guys can post, the audience can post your inquiries or questions to the chat box. So it can be highlighted to the speakers after the session and the session, the top session. Okay, can you do that? Okay, thank you for that. Okay, Mr. Burhan, are we ready with the video? Okay, thank you for that. Okay, the floor is yours.
In the cold quiet of space, a colossal explosion marked the birth of a new planet. Earth, a giant ball of molten rock, was born. Almost 5 billion years later, the first flourishings of life would begin a long evolution on Earth's surface. It wouldn't be long before the first man would walk upon its lush gardens. His name was Adam. Adam's descendants would cover the world, leaving behind ancient traces of their scattered existence. Archaeologists have spent centuries unearthing the riddles of our history and the fragments of olden day civilizations. Ancient records tell of divine revelations. Dusty pages reveal wise prophets with God-given knowledge. Books of old breathe life into forgotten times. But how credible are these sources? And could the tales of history's divine revelations be far less divine? Journey with us as we uncover the legends of our past, from the first man to walk the earth to the last prophet of the people. Discover the truth about these legendary leaders of our history. And finally, come to understand the difference between divine revelation and fabricated tales.
Thank you so much for that sharing of the video from Professor Dr. Soleha and also Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Zafrullah. Yeah, it's a very inspiring videos that show us that this could be done. Okay, the effort of preserving cultural and heritage, it could be done within when looking at this videos. Okay. Now we shall have our own Q&A session. Okay, so we are looking through whichever the questions from the audience. Okay, let me look up. Okay. So while waiting for that, okay, I have some of my some of the questions from my own. Okay, so can I share with you? Okay, on that, speakers. Okay, thank you. Okay, so the first, thank you, Dr. Fauzan. So the first question I would like to address, if possible, Professor Dr. Soleha on this. Okay, on what challenge that we as a technological player might face according to your own experience when putting effort in preserving the cultural heritage. And perhaps you could share with us which organization or center that most helpful to this effort. Over to you, Prof. Dr. Soleha.
Thank you, Niza. Good question. Actually, before engagement with the industries, you must be good in research. You have to prepare mentally and psychologically and physically to do your research before they come to you. Without a good research, they are not come to you. Okay? And we have to remember that we are a university staff. University staff means you have your own job, your own tasks. You must teach. You must publish. You must write paper. Publishing and writing in different thing to me. To publish paper is different thing. To writing is different thing. You have to take a lot of time in that part. You also have to supervise. You have to attend the conferences. You have to attend your students to supervise your students. But how to manage all those things? I think the best answer is you must have a good time management. And you must have a well-planned attitude. Without this kind of attitude, you cannot manage all. Because you also a wife, or maybe you are a husband, and you have to entertain them too in your house. As a mother, as a woman, I have to do fast. Your decision must be correct. Your decision must be sharp. You know, student ask you, you are reading in supervision, you must give a correct answer, because this is effect to their time management. Time to finalize or accomplish their thesis. So my answer is, you have to be prepared yourself first, physically, mentally, and psychologically. Then once you got strong inside, personally, to make yourself outside strongly. The people will contact you once you have knowledge and information. If not, the people will not contact you. The organization or agency or industries will not contact you. Once they look at you have a knowledge, they will contact you. They will chase you. And the most important thing in the university is industrial linkage for network between industry and the universities. And I got the project from them, from my university, from that department. That's all my answer, Lisa. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. So your linkage is through the network that you're already establishing. Okay, good to know for that. Okay, Professor Dr. Soreha. Okay, next, I want to ask Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Zafrullah on okay, when when each technology is built, they have this positive and negative result. From your experience, your own experience, what are the good and bad results coming from the effort from preserving cultural heritage? Over to you.
There are pros and cons in using even in digital technology. Okay. First, the advantage of technology is actually we are now the documentation tools have undergone a major transformation. Okay, then we have to take the advantage of creative technology, where we can accelerate the work, accessible the data, and integrated it. Even we can do a streaming line data. Then you can actually have a fast decision to make it. Then we have information integrated, and we can actually easy maintain the building or the products, okay, because it's integrated in the technology. Okay, if you take a look at traditional kind of conservation or preservation, we always use the scientific in terms of caring for it. We have to take the product, the walls, the product at the site, and using a lab. Okay, but now you actually can generate it at site. Okay, because the information integrated. Okay, and then another thing is the advantage of using digital technology is more the diversify output. Okay, you can go to do 3D hologram animation using AR, VR, even is much more quality and accurate. Okay, the cons is always the budget. Okay, the skill workers. Okay, we actually don't have not many skilled workers we have right now. Even one of the projects that we do in Seri Menanti, we propose using digital technology, but the budget from government is always we have to discuss about it. But actually, they don't have any information what sort of output we can use for our cultural heritage. Okay, I think maybe Prof. Soleha can add in.
Regarding the budget, I think it depends on the agencies. The agencies and the industry, actually, they have the budget, but they also have to face the bureaucracy or the obstacles that is normally to get the budget. And normally, I think for the productions, I think the FINAS will consider on it. FINAS, and then also as on the JAKIM also, maybe on the part of Islamic product broadcasting. And I think the budget is there. The government provide the budget, but we have to know how the angle, the angle and the which part is suitable for the proposal to be convinced. That's all. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for that insight from Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Zafrullah Fazrullah, and also Professor Dr. Soleha. Sorry for that. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Looking back through. Okay. So this question I want to ask Dr. Fauzan on this. Okay, what are your hopes for the future on this effort on heritage and cultural preservation, and what can be improved and be maintained? Okay, the floor is yours, Dr. Fauzan. I think your mic is off.
Okay, one thing that I inspired, I myself inspired, is the one collaboration that I've done, with University of Malaya in collaboration with the Center of Creative Content and Digital Innovation, which work on textile tales of Puah Kumbu, and polysensory intermedia exhibition. In that project alone, I think I've been involved for like I think 6 years, 7 years, if not mistaken. If not, 6 years, 7 years. Okay, which bring forward the very people from the, even people from the inland of Sarawak, and at the same time, create revenue, for sales. So it create a complete cycle from the exhibition, experience, the creation of a new form of culture reproductions and giving ways to explorations of culture imagery, culture interface, up until it bring back the impact to the real people on the ground, to the sales of Puah Kumbu. Okay, in that sense, I think credit for the Center of Excellence in the University of Malaya on that, and I'm inspired and be proud being in part of the team. I also, that's one of this question is one, so I give you one, which I aspire most, that create a real impact on the people on the ground.
Thank you for that. Yeah, hearing from the speakers, on the preserving cultural and heritage and movement part, I think the problem exists mostly on monetary parts, right? Okay, because of the grant, then you need to fit in your research works that mold and so on. So we see that kind of we're called in Malay is kekangan, right? okay, in order for you to move on to the center. Okay. So thank you so much for all this from all the speakers. Okay. We are now near the end of the webinar. As a closing remark for this webinar, okay, cultural heritage community effort. It's community effort. Okay, on preserving our own identity with the future generation. Year by year, there are less and lesser tradition and historical monuments being shared with the future generation. In an effort to preserve them, these speakers, okay, through their hardships and all, they are sharing with us all their experience, okay, and knowledge to be shared with the future generation, and in effort to preserve them, okay. So it's up to us now how we are going to use this knowledge and the experience sharing to make their effort pay off for the long run. Okay. Before I end this webinar, I would like to thank to the speakers again. The first speakers are Prof. Dr. Soleha Yaakob. Second speakers, Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Zarfullah and Dr. Fauzan Mustafa. To the RC Chairperson and RC Center team, Faculty of Creative Multimedia, SCM, the organizer of the webinar, Industrial Collaboration and Engagement Center, ICEC, co-organized by Center for Innovative Systemic Design in Application and Content, CIS-DAC, CISAC, Strategic Marketing, Admission and Recruitment, SMART, Smart Division, MMU Studio, and the technical support team for making this webinar very much. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.